Recording in progress.
No place for politics. I want to call the County Commission work session order. Dr. Weeks, I don't mean to surprise you, but would you lead us in prayer?
Be glad to. Father, we thank you for the day that you've given to us, and we thank you for the many blessings that you provide to us each and every day. Father, tonight we pray for our county. We pray for the cities, the municipalities, the residents, and the workers that are here. We thank you for blessing us with this county, blessing us with jobs, blessing us with opportunity to serve. Father, I ask your blessings on this commission tonight as they make decisions and make plans. Pray for your wisdom. We pray for your guidance. Father, we think about those that are less fortunate than we are this evening, those that need your touch, that need your healing, need your watch care over them. Pray for them and ask you to bless their families, make your presence known to them. These things we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Everyone stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Simpkins?
Here.
Mr. Eby?
Here.
Mr. McElwain? Here. Mr. Beatty? Here. Mr. Dawson? Here. Ms. Spicer? Mr. Buckner? Mr. Ellis? Here. Mr. Petty? Here. Mr. Williams? Here. Ms. Hayes? And Mr. Reed?
We do have a quorum. Heard from Ms. Hayes. She thinks she's about got herself pulled back together and thinks she'll be here at the next meeting. But and she thanks everyone for her birthday wishes last week. Mr. Buckner is out of town. First order of business is the approval of the minutes of the September 7th, 2021 work session. Have a motion. Motion by Commissioner Ellis, second by Commissioner Petty. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Under committee reports, we have audit committee report. We have Mr. Don Hall with us tonight. Mr. Don Hall is with us tonight. Maybe he's not.
Wake me up. Yeah, you received from Jill Young in our office, the director. She's the assistant director of accounts and budgets. She sent you out by email this past week a memo stating the audit committee minutes that was taken on June 17th, 2021. And this is a requirement that we have each year also by the comptroller of the treasury also. And this right here just covers the meeting in itself. We have 3 members. Now we're down to 2, if you did read this, but we have 1 member that resigned, Kenny Crow. We will try to find a 3rd member, and I've talked to the mayor about this already, probably two or 3 months ago, but we would like to get up to about 5 members. And this is easier said than done, actually. If any of you have any people with accounting backgrounds would be great, CPAs or business experience, which we've got that kind of stuff, but someone that would like to be on this committee, we would love to get up to about 5 members ourselves in this committee, because it's hard to do business with like 3, because a lot of times one of these members can't be there, and 5 would be probably optimal, and it wouldn't hurt to have 7 members actually, but if you could just give me a call or shoot me an email, recommendations, that kind of thing. But this right here, this is just keeping the minutes of the meeting that we're required to do to let you guys know what's going on. This here discussed the audit, no findings and that type thing, some recommendations and that type thing that audit committee does make. And these people here are experienced from years and years in the accounting world. So that's what they're there for. First problems that the comptroller of the treasury comes across, these folks here are versed in helping us get these things fixed. So anyways, this here is just to bring it to your attention that this is taken care of by law, basically.
Is this volunteer or does the county pay?
I think it's $75 a meeting. And basically we only meet once a year, but we can meet more than that if we feel it's necessary. But we got a clean audit this time. That was the good part.
Any question, Mr. Hall?
Definitely, sorry, Mayor.
No, go ahead.
But no, really, this is a serious aspect, and this is something that's really good. And we would like to have some qualified people to join this. So if you have someone in mind, get with us, or the mayor, get with him on it. But anyways, that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. Any questions, Mr. Hall?
Well, you have done either one of the ladies taking Kenny's spot, or does, I don't guess she's taking his spot, but anyway, works in the office under him. Nikki, I can't call her last name now, but,
I'm not sure, I can't bring it up either.
I'll see her, I'll ask her if she'd be interested in doing that, if that's appropriate.
That is. Yeah, and again, if you do, just funnel some names. So yes, Commissioner Eby.
Hey, I just got a question about line item 599-1. I was just curious what that
Are
is.
you on the amendments or something?
Yes.
Full report or what?
Yeah, the amendment that you just
Okay,
handed.
we'll be getting to those in the
Oh.
resolution.
They're in the new business.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No, that's fine.
It's okay to be ahead. It's just when you're behind, I get upset. So, so another question, Mr. Hall? Thank you. Next item of business, there's no other committees report, are there? No. All right. Next is appointments. Have two boards that need appointments on this. First, Industrial Development Board. We have 3 members up for reappointment for 6-year terms. Mr. Jeff Corlew, Mr. Ed Moore, and Ms. Janice Shelton. They serve on that board now, and I'd like to submit their names to be reappointed for those terms and move this on to regular session. Motion by Commissioner Simpkins, second by Commissioner McElwain. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. We pushed this one down sometime on the next on Library Board of Trustees because we had so many changes on this. We've got, there's 7 members on that board. I'm going to be bringing you 5 names tonight for various reasons. We have 2 that like to be reappointed. We have 1 that was eligible to be reappointed. That was not able to, did not want to go in for a second term. Mr. Petty was also on the board, but he is termed out. He's met his limit on that, and I think that got it. And I have another one that's got a partial term to be filled, and we need to fill that one too. A lady that's on there, her job is going to prevent her from being able to attend those meetings. So on the Library Board of Trustees, the 2 that names I like, they're already on the board to reappoint, is Mickey Daniel and Teresa Fuzzle. The names to fill in the partial vacancy that expires in 2023 is Star Moore, my chief deputy, and then the other 2 to fill out the terms that Mr. Petty and Ms. Lori Pruitt left are Ms. Dana Ramsey. I think everyone knows Dana, and Angela Redden, who owns the bookstore in downtown Dickson. So those are the 5 appointments like to make, 2 reappointments and 3 new individuals put on there. Remaining on the board is Ms. Ernestine Adams and Mr. Jeff Martin, and that brings the board out to the 7 members. So I'd like to submit those names to move those on to the regular session. A motion. Motion by Commissioner Petty, second by Commissioner Eby. Any discussion or questions?
How often do they meet?
Once a month. Is that true, Mr. Petty?
They have to meet 6 times a year, so it could be, yeah, with the lately, it's been once a month.
Is it the first Monday? Was there a meeting today?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. All right. Very good. Thought I missed that. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item of business is under new business, quarterly financial reports, all funds except schools. Mr. Hall.
These are the 4th quarter ending June 30th. This is for fiscal year 21 that we ended. This here is just the final call for the year that we just finished, and the auditors will be here Monday to start the audit for this fiscal year that we just ended. So I've looked over these, all these funds look in good shape. They just look good. I mean, every one of them looked fine. I don't have anything to add to them or anything. Each fund, now that's like 8 funds I think we cover. 101, 116, general fund, landfill, drug control, highway bridge, debt service, capital projects, and community development. And I don't think I missed one there, but I looked through all of those, and each one of them were in the positive on funds. Fund balances look great, so we did quite well, I believe.
So we ended the year, that would be in the 4th quarter, ended on June 30.
Yeah.
And if you notice, Mr. Hall was about to give you those numbers of which fund is, and it took me 11 years to break them of that. But also, after 11 years, I know what those numbers mean now. So I know what 116 is. But
Yeah.
thank you on that.
Yeah.
Any questions, Mr. Hall?
Where do the auditors come from? They state auditors?
Yeah, they are the state auditors and they're comptroller connected, but they basically, county auditors, they live in the area or somewhere close, but they're based out of Nashville. Yeah.
You had a question about 599-1 on,
Yeah, I was just curious about that.
599-1, is that on one of the handouts I gave you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the health department, and that's a tobacco grant, and that's just money they advertise in the paper, they buy supplies, and it's a smoke out type thing, trying to keep people, and they try to advertise and get kids to not smoke. And that's two grants added together right there, that $30,317. That is actually two tobacco grants added together. And they've asked us to amend that money in. It's reserve money we've been sitting on for a while. Health Department asked us to put those both in there so they can spend those out. Yeah.
any other question, Mr. Hall?
Now this is separate now.
Oh,
So
those budget amendments.
that's in amendment.
Okay, so we're not voting on the amendments now, we're voting on just
Right.
accepting the fourth quarter numbers.
Yeah.
So and I need a motion on that. Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Reed. Any other questions for Mr. Hall? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, thank you. Now, the second item is budget amendments, all funds except schools. Mr. Hall.
Okay, yeah, that's one of the handouts right there is just the dental health. That's the first page I handed out to you, I believe. Second page, let me see what that is. That's some revenue numbers, I believe. That's just combining two numbers, adding 12,000 and reducing one by 12,000. That's just combining those two numbers together. So that wasn't in the file that was sent to you email last week. So I wanted to hand that out to you. And that first page there is just dental health grant. If you take and add some of those positive numbers at the top, and then you take some of those deductions below it, don't take into consideration the 30,000 we just talked about. Those numbers net out to zero. Or, they add up to 20,300, which is the same revenue number there for health department programs. The revenue grant number is 46310. That's the revenue account code. And if you look over in the middle, it adds up to 20,300. That is from the state. That's a grant. So it's a net zero amount. The state's giving us that much more money. We're going to spend that much more money. So it's not costing the county anything. And I just wanted y'all to see that.
Any questions, Mr. Hall?
So those two pages right there are just changes from what you received in email the other day.
Open the floor for motion to move these on the regular session. Motion by Commissioner Reed, second by Commissioner Petty. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Hopefully I didn't get any emails after I didn't want y'all to say. Yeah, it's not the first time this has done this today. Oh, here we go. It's coming right along here. I didn't hit the right button on this. 69 degrees outside, it says. Hit the right button. I think it's this one right here. Anybody just holler out on that, how to make this thing go to,
You go to next F5, no,
where at? Just holler out.
F5.
I'm sorry, one at a time.
F5.
Oh, F5. See, I'd never do that. I didn't see it. Maybe I had to enable editing.
Make it off the screen.
Yeah. Now I hit F5.
Right there.
There we go. Okay. As y'all know, and I'll give you a heads up on a couple of these items, 2 weeks ago at our regular session, we continue to try to improve our work we do with volunteer fire in Dickson County, which of course, as y'all all know, we have the Plan A funding, which allows each fire department to get $22,000 regardless of their size. And then we have the Plan B funding that everyone gets $22,000 plus a figure that covers the number of households you have. So I think one of the minimum ones is probably around 26,000, and we have some up approaching $45,000, $50,000. And that's a program we put in a number of years ago. As you recall, also, y'all approved an additional funding several months ago that gave an additional 1.4% of annual money, 140% extra money for them to buy equipment and update things, and they're doing a good job with that. Myself and Mr. Fisher met with the fire chiefs 2 weeks ago, 2 Tuesday nights ago, after we had this meeting, because we've been working on this plan for some time, but our goal was to make sure we were talking to volunteer fire and all those in attendance to make sure this is something they wanted to do. It had been a constant request to improve their equipment, and so we want to get it put together. Typically, I talk to y'all first, but this with the community, with the volunteer fire community, we want to make sure we were fulfilling their needs and what they needed. We had all the fire departments show up except one, and there was miscommunication on that, but that fire chief was talked to the following day. So what we were asking to do on this was to go in and buy 6 new pumpers like this for each of the volunteer fire departments. These pumpers cost roughly about $275,000 a piece, and to have the equipment, the total package on this, we'll be asking to borrow money for $1.75 million to do this. Obviously, the goals and the objectives on here is to replace old, outdated pumpers, increase the emergency response capabilities of the departments, large capacity trucks on a smaller heavy-duty frame for improved operability and mobility. This will work to improve the ISO fire protection class of the areas, better protection of our fast-growing communities, and it places Dickson County in a better position to provide more efficient public safety now and into the future. And the total cost of this project, purchase of the 6 trucks and any ancillary things we have to pick up, is $1.75 million. We have that money, as I showed you when we did the additional money a month ago for paving. We took out $1.5 million out of debt service. The funds are there, but as I explained to you at that time, when we take funds out of debt, we remove money from debt service, there's only one way to take it out, and that's to borrow it. And as we told you on the paving, we will have that paid back before the end of this fiscal year. On this borrowing, we're asking for a 2-year note on this. We think we'll have it paid off a lot earlier. We have the capability of doing it, but one of the issues in ordering these trucks is it's about a 16-month turnaround time to get the vehicles. But we need to go and have to borrow the money, set aside to show them the trustee in our trustee's office, to send them a letter to show them that we have funds available. Any fire truck companies, their fear is that we order these trucks and then we back up on them. So we're having to do the borrowing a little earlier on that. This gets into Rob Fisher stuff, but he's down burning his forehead in Florida right now, so with his family. But it is vacation time. This is what the fire chiefs agreed with Mr. Fisher on. The truck needed is a 1,500 gallon per minute pump capacity with a 1,000-gallon water tank. It's full NFPA emergency lighting and comp space, ladders and hard suction included, rear view camera for safer backing. So that's the type truck that everyone's in agreement on. The department's receiving these funds to do this. They're receiving the trucks, and I'll clarify that in a minute. It's Clay Lick, Cumberland Furnace, Dickson County Fire and Rescue, Harpeth Ridge, Sylvia, Yellow Creek, and Tennessee City. We want to make sure we talk to them. They were all willing to accept this. What we will have to do on this, because we're borrowing with tax-free funds, is that that Dickson County will continue the ownership of the vehicles, but we will lease them to them for $1 a year. We'll probably do it to a 10-year period, and at that point, release the vehicles to them at that point in time. But it's going on with what we've talked about all along about the importance of what county government does or any government does is providing public safety. We started out with the sheriff's department, got a lot of their stuff up to date, moved into the ambulance service quickly thereafter, and then moved into EMA vehicles and people and things of that type. This is the next step in this, is helping our volunteers, because we can't do it. The county can't afford to do it without the help of volunteers. They work hard to raise money through calendar sales, fireworks sales, you name it, they do it. But it's hard for them to be able to collect $275,000 to buy a vehicle and continue to pay their operating costs. So that's where we want to partner with them on this project. So that's what I have here, and I'll be glad to answer any questions on this. No. They will have to continue to take care of their operational cost. You will be asked to be a lost payee on their insurance as an additional insured, but it'll be up to them to do that. They're supposed to keep their vehicles insured regardless, but this is one way to help them. They don't have to raise money to buy a vehicle now. They just have to work for operational cost. Yes, except for the one that Dickson County runs ourselves, with Mr. Fisher's over, but we have a truck becoming available to us here in about, or the money for a truck come available from the settlement funds through Titan Partners. And so, but that funding is in the, I think it's around $400,000 range, but we're buying a different truck for that because it needs a bigger capacity for any issues we might encounter at that site. So in theory, there's 7 volunteer fire departments that are not municipal. We don't include any of the municipal fire departments in there. They have their own tax base. Yes, sir.
I know they can use it as far as that part goes. You got a lot of these places that don't even have fire hydrants.
Now that's one, and again, without getting way out over ourselves, our goal is if our finances hold up in 3 years from now, after we see where our finances are, is come back and look at getting a quick attack truck. Seems to be the secondary need. The smaller Ford, like a Ford F-350 that carries a tank on it to get out in the brush and do things of that type. But our goal is to be back here in about 3 years to do that. But that's not part of this deal. Any questions?
I'll make a comment.
Please.
I'm sure ready to see it,
Thank you.
because, I mean, it's about time.
Well, a lot of people worked hard for a long time to get to this point, and my emergency service people, led by Rob Fisher, helped with Donnie Bear and their staffs, have gotten us at this point. We had to get our finances in order, and it's taken us about 11 years to get to that point. But again, it fits into our debt service projection, where we don't go below any kind of standard below number, which Mr. Hall knows is 20%. We reached that point in 2033, but it starts going back up after that. But that includes us being in a position to finance $32.5 million school project, if that's what they want, and about a $5 billion project at the jail to expand that. So there's been a lot of vision and time put at Mr. Hall and his staff wants to see that that's done. So thank you for that, Commissioner Dawson. Yes, sir.
Well, the insurance companies like homeowners insurance will look at the county as a whole by adding this type of equipment to the fire departments. Will that,
Where do you live based on where the fire station is?
and regardless of equipment,
Now, they, depending on what equipment they have, they get a PC rating. And those individual fire halls, they work on that to, get those lowered based upon the amount of equipment they have and how far away they're from the house or whatever. But, yeah, it's per fire department, not the county.
Because you have the 5 driving miles is for the ISO ratings, and I think most y'all have been involved in this know that. The other issue is with these tank numbers, per Mr. Fisher explained to me that 1,500 with 1,000-gallon tank moves you to that next level and improves most everyone's equipment, which will end up extending out to homeowner insurance rates over time.
Yeah, and half the time they have to jump them off or have to do whatever, but see, this here replaced that, and they'll be more efficient. But that's, they get the ISO ratings down for commitment where they go out into the calls, that many calls in the county. And, them boys, they really do a super job. I mean, they ought to be recognized, a whole lot more than what they are.
We're gonna do this, if it, with the will of the commission's here this month to do that. So I'll open floor for a motion. Commissioner Dawson, second by Commissioner Reed. Any questions, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Can we have livers or gizzards? I'm not a chitlin guy. Okay, another PowerPoint here, y'all.
Okay, Mayor, that will be included in an amendment also that we haven't covered.
Yes, and we can, well, it's gonna come from a barn,
You're right,
so,
in the general fund, no, we haven't got it in an amendment that we talked about anywhere else.
oh, the barn's gonna come from debt service.
We have to purchase, let's see, we have to think about this.
Okay, this is nerdy stuff that he'll and I'll do tomorrow morning about 8 o'clock, so.
Ryan, you got some input on that?
It counts.
Purchase though, you said we will not purchase for 16 months.
You know, we were having a good time and you're ruining it. That's why I wouldn't invite you to my party. No, we'll do what we have to do. I've talked with Linda Mooneyham, Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund, so I'll get you people on a phone call together and y'all let me know what's gonna happen. You're ruining my good time. Thank you. No, that's really, it's okay. I'm ready to move on. Item number 4 is land purchase for solid waste convenience center. I didn't have an opportunity to talk to everyone on this. I think as we know, over the last several years, when we went to, had a sanitation board, the goal has been to improve all of our sites for recycling and update those. The first one we did was Grab Creek because it had the most volume. So those of you who've gone to the West Grab Creek site, on that 2+ acre site, that's a convenience center that does everything. And our goal is move those on. The list that the sanitation board and Mr. Lund have was to move forward, and the next busiest one is the burn site there at the corner Highway 47 and 96. And just to give you a little information, the third busiest site is White Bluff, and there's being work done on that. But that's not for that conversation tonight. But the property that we've looked for, and this is in the 6th Commission District, so I've talked with Ms. Spicer about it, trying to move this to a more geographically centered location has been a challenge because you start moving to areas where people frankly just don't want a convenience center. They like using them, but nobody wants one near their house. So after much study and thought, a property became available across the street from the present site. The present site's owned by the city of Burns. It's 1 acre. There's not anything we can really do with an expansion, but if you get up there on a Saturday afternoon, I think you see what happens on traffic. It's backed up on Highway 47 and 96. So across the street available, you can barely see those. It appears to be 2 tracks, but which it is. But on the 2 tracks, it's this one and this one. There's our convenience center site. This is almost 5 acres right here is what we're looking at buying. This shows it's treed now, but that lot's been cleared. There's nothing on it. It's been smooth out. It'll still require work on that, but we make that recommendation to purchase this land to put a full recycling center there, such as we have at Grab Creek. On this property, the cost of this, it's located across the street. It's 5 acres for $255,000. The most important thing is it's a much larger site for safety. We will get traffic off the road. It'll be full service recycling where anything we have at the Grab Creek site, you'll be able to do here. It's same centralized location. Again, nobody's got to go looking for it. It's going to be right across the street. It'll give us improved traffic management. I said, getting traffic off the roads. and improve safety because the site's bigger, and when people get out to do their work, they won't be walking across equipment and other things that could bring danger to the site. But that land is for sale. I've signed a contract on that, but any contract I sign always has pending the approval of the county commission. So that's why I bring it forward to you tonight. Be glad to answer any questions on it, but this search has been extensive to try to find something. The issues we have with most of our sites are that we don't own them. We don't own the White Bluff site. We're doing some work on the site on Old Pond that Mr. Lamassus owns, but we don't own that one. So it limits our capacity of what all we can do. But our goal is from now on, if we improve a convenience center, we'd really like to own the site so we can make it how we need to make it. So be glad to answer any questions at this point, Commissioner Spicer. I don't know the answer to that question. This 1 acre, and we tried to work with, have the city help us on some different things where we could expand and get a bigger spot, but we are limited there, so we had to go a different direction. Yes, sir.
There is no timber at all on it?
It's been cleared now. If there is, it's on the lower edges on that, because if you've been at that site looking west, it starts sloping back to a ravine before, and it comes back up to a neighborhood over there. No, we're buying both of those lots on here. I'm sorry if I didn't explain it correctly, which add up to the 5 acres. It's 17.05 and 17.01.
When you say a full recycle, what will that include?
It'll have all the cardboard recycling. That's one of the bigger ones. Aluminum, furniture, where you throw away all old furniture, which is not really a recycling item. We have a position where you can do glass when it becomes a market for it again. Right now, there's not one.
Would they have a place for tires? Because I get that question a lot.
That's one I don't think we do, but I'll talk to Mr. Lunn about that and get you the information on that deal. Because of the charging thing we have to do and the pick for the tires, what we pay for them and what we get paid back from the state, I think there's an accounting issue in that they carry out to the, which of course they carry to the transfer station, but I'll find out if we can do it. I don't know the answer to that.
I think they got a trailer, they got, Mount Juliet's got one parked there, I think, with tires in it. Y'all get so much, county gets so much a year, I think, on contract.
That's it.
I think that's
I believe it is. But I'll get y'all the information on that.
Plastic recycling?
Yes. And I thought I got everything. I missed plastic, so. Any questions? I'd like to open the floor for a motion since regular session. Motion by Commissioner Spicer. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Petty. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item, number 5, is pay supplement for the health department. As y'all recall, back in February, we did a pay supplement for all of our emergency personnel that never left their post during COVID. That was roughly 129 employees that we did that. What we waited on was the health department. As you know, the health department has this peculiar deal where it's a state department, but the funding flows through us. So we waited to see if the state was going to do anything to reward those people that worked there through the COVID situation, that were out in the hot and the cold, giving out vaccines. So we're at that point. We've learned that that's not forthcoming from the state, but these people, even though the state budget, they are county employees. Talked to Ms. Sherry Booker some time ago, and she and I talked today. There are roughly 35 employees that this would apply to over there. And what I'm going to be recommending is that we do what we did for the other county employees. That's a one-time deal for 35 employees for $1,000 apiece. The funding for this will come from the American Rescue Plan money that the federal government has set down to us. We have $5.2 million in that fund right now. This is $35,000 of it. We're about to start bringing some other projects to you because there's not been a lot of clarity from the Treasury Department on what we can and can't do. But this one in the rules is 100% clear that this is something we can do. So I'd like to bring that. But the Treasury on any other items, they gave out a thing called an interim final rule, which that's an oxymoron, but we're waiting on to get the final rule, or, you know, it sounds like we're on catch-22 or something. But all that being said, we had people at the health department, especially out in the elements, doing this. Last year, we were giving out the vaccine in those cold winter months. It's the people that were doing that, but are still employed here. We may have had a few leave, but our standard's always been, we're not going to go back. We're going to take care of the people that are still here and reward them. So out of that $5.2 million, I'd like to use $35,000 roughly, and I'll get you the exact number at the next meeting if it's more or less than that, to reward the people that went through that. Motion.
That money that is subject to necessarily an audit or an okay from Washington?
At this point, what they're doing is the federal government's pretty much pushing out on thin ice, and we're on our own. That's hard to believe. But we are getting help from the state controller's office, and they're trying to look at standards that they're reviewing, because they don't want counties to get in trouble by spending something that the federal government may come back and take back. So we're running, or at least this one has been, and the others, we're going to run those by the controller's office to make sure we're not doing anything. We're members of the National Association of Counties, and looked at a lot of things people are doing across the United States. Frankly, it makes me nervous what they're doing. I don't think it's fits in what I understand the law to be, but you know, we're those kind of people that y'all go first and let's see what happens. But everything we're probably going to bring you during November and December, I would be 95% confident to share those, bring those to you today, but we want to wait to get that final rule from the Treasury Department and make sure we don't, because if we misspend this money, we have to, the county's liable for it, and we have to come back up with it. So they kind of have us out there without a net, but we have a committee that works on this. We meet about once a week to discuss these different projects and keep, kind of give them a litmus test on that. But this one by itself, it's fine. It'll stand on its own.
Well, the reason I say that, I just heard today on national news that they were complaining, some states were complaining that they wasn't using money that was, appropriated for the coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. And they was getting chastised, states was getting chastised for not using this money. Well, the part they left out is just what you explained right there. They didn't say anything about an audit or an okay from the feds, whether that money's being spent appropriately. And if it's not, we get to pay it back, and I think with interest. Is that right?
Paying it back's bad enough, and the interest would just be a little salt in the wound. Yeah, but you're correct. So I mean, when we come back to y'all the next couple of months, that committee met today. We'll be continuing to meet until come back December. That we've got projects, and I'm not going to get off on a tangent, but we've got some good projects that we feel really good about. And there were some projects already in our pipeline, but the rules will allow us to replace our money with this federal money, and we can have that money set aside to do other issues with. Thank you. Any other questions? Motion by Commissioner Williams, have a second by Commissioner Reed. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. I'm going to ask to add an item number 6. In September of 2020, we brought forth a discussion item about a transportation and land use study that we partnered with City of Dickson, White Bluff, and Burns. That money is budgeted for. We put it in the budget, but whenever we reviewed the records today, when me and Mr. Rager are looking, other than us telling you that and putting the budget, we never got asked for your approval for me to sign a contract. And so I want to bring that back to you just so you'll be aware of it. We met last Thursday with all the entities and our attorneys getting ready to sign this contract, and it was like, hey, we checking our notes. So I need to put this on the regular session to get y'all's permission to sign this contract, which the money is budgeted. I just need your authority to carry through with it. So I'll open the floor for a motion.
Mayor, what'd you say it was now?
It's the study.
Yeah.
It's a land use study and a transportation study for the county. We have a company that's coming in, and they're going to set up community meetings with different communities, different governmental bodies, and have discussion with them on what the community wants. So it won't just be a plan of the government, it's going to be a plan of the community. I think, and I know Mr. Williams got something he's going to bring up tonight, we're getting beat up with growth, and growth has always been a good word in Dickson County, but we might need to make sure it's smart growth, and I think this plan is going to allow us to at least put a template down to see where we want to head on this, because we're running out of road space on county roads. Infrastructure has been put stress on, so we need to decide now if we're going to put some rules in place before we get too far down the road, and that this study should answer it for us.
You know, I don't remember, and I mean, those now, I can't remember a new county road being built somewhere on a piece of property, a big piece of property anywhere in the county, unless it's added to the subdivision, somebody built a subdivision.
I think you're right.
And, that'd be a good deal. I mean, they're gonna announce it, start out as gonna be like a public forum and everything, people gonna get done.
They're going to have meetings in all four entities that are involved in this: White Bluff, Burns, Dickson, and Dickson County on that. Charlotte, Van Leer, and Slayton didn't join, and that's fine, because we'll have growth on that, but we'll take care of that from the county standpoint, from those communities. But the ones that are really being burdened with growth and transportation are ones that are paying their proportional share of all this. But it needs to be a county plan, and it's a chance to write the rules and get this community what we want it to look like, not only tomorrow, but 20 and 30 years from now.
Does the planning commission know about this? Because I know they've already got a subcommittee of 5 that they're already, I guess, in the process of making some recommendations.
They're aware we're doing it, and I brought this to them also in September of 2020, 13 months ago, that this was in play. I know there's been a little impatience, but frankly, getting 4 governmental entities, everybody had to get through a budget year to get this funded, and so once we passed July 1st, that's back to it. So I know there's the issue you were probably going to talk about tonight, and a couple of other issues coming up. They're aware this is going on, so again, it can fit back into this plan, but of course, the Planning Commission, they have the right to go forward and do what they need to do, but as well as this body does. So, but we need to keep that in consideration.
You know, Mayor, I tell you what, I hate the thoughts of, this fuel depot brought all this on, most of it anyway. And, if you look back at the county where all the properties are industrial, that's in the county, that a lot of people's changing back to residential. I mean, there's a lot to be looked at on that. But now, once a man gets his property zoned, I don't believe it's right to have to go back and try to take that away from him, because he's went through the proper steps to do that, you're talking about doing all that, everything, widening roads and all kind of stuff, would have to be took into consideration.
What happened here, it wasn't used for much years later.
No,
I have a problem with that.
if I'm mistaken, then it wasn't spelled out what an industrial piece of property, what you use it for.
It will, and I'm not going to burden Mr. Darnell tonight with that, but yes, there's some rules on that I'd be glad to let him explain to you on the side. But I'm not meaning to cut you off. This plan with this company doing this and what the Planning Commission is trying to do right now, this is the time, because again, without being critical, but it's going to sound that way, whatever happened in 1995, in February, March 95, affected us in 2020. This is the time to be open-minded and take a big, long-term vision look at what we're doing as a community, what you want this community to be. And this is the opportunity to do it. And if the definition of industrial, agriculture, or limits on what ag is, or residential, whatever, this is the time. So I guess, I said it last week or 2 weeks ago, or a month ago, we got a lot of stuff coming at us really fast here over the next 8-9 months. So y'all got to have a hand in it, because y'all have to you're going to have a lot of constituents coming at you from different directions, and you need to listen to all of them. I know y'all do that, but you also have, y'all leaders over here, y'all always have to give the vision. What do we want to look like in 20 and 30 years when we're all gone from here. And y'all gonna get the opportunity now. And then when another property's not zoned correctly, at least we put our best efforts into it now. And I'm not saying they didn't back then. I wasn't here. I had moved back to Dickson when that other deal happened. But this is opportunity, and this plan can be the template to get it started.
You know, all I gotta say is I've raised back these times, and you know, and I don't know how we got through it, you know, compared to what everybody wants to do today. I mean, because everything's gotta be done just so-so. There's no such thing as a spot zone in, industrial property in the county nowhere. I mean, you know, it's just, then you go out there and you do a deal down there, you have to share half the revenue with the city. So, I mean, it's to me, the county needs you know, an industrial park, you know.
Don't disagree with that. That may be a discussion we have here in the next 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
On this, to put this on the regular agenda, I want to open the floor for motion. Motion by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Spicer. Any other discussion or questions on this? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Other business, Commissioner Williams?
Yeah, I'll try to make this quick. I did speak to Mr. Darnell and Brian for a minute, but, I would like to make, I know we can't do it tonight, but I would like to make an amendment to the zoning, regulations that we were submitted on, I guess, last month that we voted. I know we've got another vote coming up, but is that something that I can just email you and you can submit out to the other commissioners?
Yeah, anytime y'all have anything you'd like from me or Star Moore to share, just send it to us. We're always glad to do that. And again, it'd be a planning thing. Obviously, I'll include Mr. Darnell on that, and with legal jargon, of course, our attorney, Mr. Reagan, I'll include him on that. That's fine with you.
Yeah.
And let them look at what you want to do. And we'll get that to all the commissioners so they can have an equal judgment also.
Right, yeah, I just didn't want to surprise everybody with something. I'd like to get it out so everybody have time to look at it, so.
Thank you. Be glad to do that. Any other business, under other business? Okay. Not hearing any of that. Announcements. Anybody have anything soon? Everything else happens Saturday.
Yeah, I've got, October the 9th, Tennessee City Volunteer Fire Department's having a fish fry. However, they can't get enough fish, so, in their supply, yeah, so they're gonna change it to chili and hot dogs. It starts at 3, and, it's come in and get and take home. It's not, they're not gonna have it available.
You say it begins at 3?
Yes,
Okay.
starting at 3.
3. So that's this coming, that's this Saturday. Okay,
Correct.
thank you. Commissioner Reed?
October 9th, we're having the fall festival in Whiteville. Starts at 12, gets over to 6. We ain't gonna have chitlins, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Gizzards?
We're gonna have gizzards.
I will be there for that.
A lot of music, a lot of crafts.
Cindy, you put that on Facebook tomorrow, Johnny Cook and Chitlin.
Yeah, you do that.
This is the one that's downtown. And isn't usually an apple butter thing?
Last week, they postponed.
Okay. Gotcha. Anybody else got anything?
And half at the hospital, but we are having so many stupid people. We had 2 people walk in our waiting room today positive. People just ain't got sense.
Well, I thought you were going to say you were out of ham, and I was going to suggest spam. I mean, I'd buy some.
It's ridiculous.
You're about to depress me like Mr. Hall was, so you can quit too now. I've heard plenty. Nobody has a birthday for a while until Mr. Ellis and Mr. Dawson have one here in a couple of months. If there's no other announcements, and hearing none, the next work session meeting will be on November 1st, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the Buford L. Booty Reed Jr. County Commission Chamber of the Dickson County Administration Building, 4 Court Square, Charlotte, Tennessee. Have a motion second adjourned. Thank you.
Recording stopped.